Okay, so back for the second vertical stabilizer video. We're finishing up, kind of buttoning up that one side there that we worked on in the last video. That's my dad and my mom. My mom is the supervisor. She's making sure we do everything right, letting us know when we're making mistakes. There she is inspecting, making sure. So we're working to close up that bottom section there of the vertical stabilizer, and then we'll move over to the top side. And that is the area you just saw me trying to get that angle in there. But that very front rivet on that side, if you have like a standard 3-inch yoke, it's just a little bit too big to actually get in there. So we didn't put the very frontmost rivet in that. And I'm ordering a no-hole yoke for my squeezer that'll give me enough room to actually squeeze that rivet in there. The ones on the top that were a little bit further back in the yoke actually did fit in there. So we messed with that for a while, figuring, oh, well, what if we change some stuff? What if we turn some things around? But come to find out, it is a little bit too tight for the standard yoke, and we weren't able to get it to fit in there. So here we go, we're going to turn it around. As you can see there, the frame is actually hooked to the top portion there, but it's not hooked to the bottom portion. We'll get to that, but it is the same exact process on the other side, so I cut a lot of that out, but you'll see the start of that, and then I skipped a whole bunch of that because it's the same exact thing we did in the very first video, putting that side on. So now we're attaching the top, going through. You cleco every other hole, go set the rivets, then you can uncleco it and set the other rivets. Works out pretty easy. It's pretty quick once you get it kind of in a rhythm. It's not too bad at all. It's actually pretty easy to put together. And again, the vertical stabilizer is probably the easiest piece. And I think that's why they start with that piece, is because it's extremely easy to put together. Not a whole lot of pieces, not a whole lot of areas where it's hard to get to, so it's kind of nice. So we're closing up that side, and then you'll see us here in a minute or so. We'll start looking at the other side. There's Gran inspecting our work again, making sure we did it correctly. So here we are doing that other side. So we're going to kind of position things. We're going to cleco it together, get the sides together, make sure all the holes line up, making sure it's set the way it's supposed to be. So you cleco along that front spar, and then you'll cleco back on the ribs, and the back spar, the very back piece of that, is the very last section, and that'll be in the next video. So we put our clecos in, make sure it all lines up. That's us trying to get that very front rivet in there kind of lined up. Like I said before, it is really snug. It lines up perfectly, and the pieces, if they're deburred correctly and kind of rounded over correctly, they fit in there very nicely. So that's us looking at the fit, making sure it's right. And then there's my dad saying, okay, how are we going to fit stuff in there? And I brought over what we had done was we took a moving blanket to set in there, so in case we dropped that tungsten bucking bar, we didn't want to dent the other side of the skin. And so originally we had laid a moving blanket in there, just in case we drop that. And then we're thinking, okay, well, can we fit a moving blanket in there and do the other side kind of the same way? And what we found out that it's a little bit too tight to get a moving blanket in there, but what we did, you'll see us stand this up on end here in a little bit. And it was a little bit easier to just stand it up on end, reach an arm down there. And that's the very back piece you see me holding there. That's the very back spar. We just wanted to make sure it fit and kind of make sure we were putting it in there correctly. So I skipped a whole bunch of stuff there. We did Cleco, or rivet that whole side in there. You'll notice that the skin is riveted at this point. I skipped a whole section of us just, bucking rivets. It wasn't that exciting. It was, 3 or 4 minutes of time on this thing, watching me kind of stand in front of the video camera. So you couldn't really see anything. Anyway, again, I am not a videographer. I'm not even a real plane builder. I'm a computer programmer by trade. So take it for what it's worth. Hopefully you get something out of these things. I will show in the next video a clip of marking the notes and making sure I can show you kind of how I make sure I don't miss anything. But that's pretty much it. It's buttoned up. Front spar's in there. All the ribs are in there. We're just going to put the back spar on in the next video. Thanks for watching.